Coach Taylor Statham here with us today. And I'll let him introduce himself pretty much. I'll just go through like a series of questions. It'll be like 6 questions, be very brief. So let's just start with the passion for basketball. When did that start?
I've had it since I was a little kid, man. I used to watch my dad growing up, playing at the park, talking smack, chain nets. I grew up on
Hey,
the
Mets.
basketball.
Awesome, man. And are you from was it Santa Clarita, California?
So I'm originally from North Hollywood.
Okay,
Um, but yeah, I moved up to Santa Clarita during high school. And it's where I live and run my academy now.
awesome. And then as far as the journey playing college and going pro, what was that like as far as take us through the ups and downs, like the challenges, and then I guess what actually like kept you going?
For sure. So nowadays you kind of see kids jump onto the scene as like freshmen,
Mhm.
sophomores, things like that. My freshman year, I played freshman. My sophomore year, I had a chance to move up to varsity. I decided to stay and play JV just to get more burn.
Mhm.
Um, and then I ended up leaving the team midway through season and then transferring to another school. So my junior year, I went to a better school. I was supposed to start, and then at the time, CIF rules you had to sit out an entire year.
Mhm.
So I missed my entire junior year, played JV. So if you look at somebody's resume like that, just right off the bat, you're like, oh, this person's probably not playing in college. Had a great senior year, first team all league, all CIF, all everything. Ended up, jumping onto the scene late. And then, so I only got like partial offers to like some D2s and NAIs.
Awesome.
A bunch of D1s wanted to see more of me. So I ended up going to prep school. Uh, Went to like the fifth ranked prep school in the nation, Westwind Prep in Phoenix,
Okay.
and played like Kiwi Gardner, who was like a YouTube sensation.
Mhm.
Like all these D1 guys, and was just like culture shocked at first because I walked into the gym being first team all everything,
Mhm.
uh, already like it overcoming all this adversity. And like the first week, we did nothing but open gyms, and I scored 1 point the entire week.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it was kind of like a make or break moment. And I was like, man, like, do I want to go home and be like everyone else, or am I going to make this work, make my story greater? And then, so I just got in the weight room every day, started working out like 3 times a day.
Mhm.
And I went from like the bench of the second team to starting for the second team, making my way to the first team, and starting. So worked my way all the way up by this was around like Thanksgiving time, and then ended up getting diagnosed with cancer.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so it took me to a whole nother whirlwind. So I was like on top again, like ranked fifth in the nation. Ball his life is following us around because Kiwi, like
Mhm.
all eyes on us. And at the time I had like 20, forgot what it was exactly, like 24 or 26 offers, fulls, partials, D1, D2. Um, and then yeah, so like I ended up going from that to being like just hit out of nowhere with cancer. Ended up doing surgery, trying to come back, and then I had to do chemo. And then by the time I was finished with chemo, months and months of it, I lost like close to 30 pounds, lost my hair, and
Mhm.
then lost every offer I had. And so this was about March. And so again, I was just like, man, what do I do?
Mhm.
And so yeah, I just worked my way back. Started calling some schools. Started marketing myself. My dad helped me with that, and then ended up getting a full ride to play at Cal Baptist, who had just turned D2 at the time. And then you know, long story short, ended up playing in 13 countries professionally. So
Awesome. And through that adversity, that's first, that's a great story, like, to overcome all that. Um, through that adversity, what was like, your mindset? Like, was there something you always told yourself just to get through, to continue to do what you did?
yeah, I mean, I just love basketball, man, and it honestly like helped me through all those hard times. And I just knew that I wanted to be great, and I knew I wanted my story to be great. And even at a young age, I always wanted to make it so I could help other people make it.
Mhm.
And I remember being like 10 and 12 saying that, so I feel like my purpose was always bigger than me. I always, thought about my family and my friends, and
Mhm.
just everyone else.
Awesome. And then as far as going pro, what was that process like?
It was tough. So I came out of a D2. I ended up finishing at Cal State San Bernardino.
Mhm.
And you play D2, nobody's coming and looking for you or offering you pro contracts like that.
Mhm.
So it really, luckily because of like the whole cancer situation and being under recruited in high school, I had already learned how to kind of market myself, and then network and reach out to people and just try to connect the dots. So I ended up playing in the Philippines
Mhm.
um, because I was part Filipino. I'm part Filipino,
Okay.
so I played there. I played in like their second league as I was working on my papers. Um, and yeah, killed it. And then it just, opened a couple more doors. And then, you just keep killing opportunities and more doors just continue to open.
And was that your first time being in the Philippines?
Yeah. So it was my first time, uh, really. I went to Venezuela as a kid, but that was like my first time as an adult out of the country.
Actually, awesome. Cool. So
Yeah.
you were able to like to check out like, your heritage and your history while you was there.
Yeah, man. It was really eye opening because, like obviously I don't look Filipino. Um, But yeah, it was just, just to see because my grandma was born there. So to see like her culture and, their customs and just to understand like different ways of life, it really opens your mind.
Awesome. Cool, man. And then we'll just go to the next question as far as starting your academy, the
Mm.
how or the why, the how and the, the future of it, if you can present
Okay.
that. Yeah.
The how, the why, and the future of it. Okay. Um, I started my academy when I broke my foot going into my senior year.
Hmm.
So end of my junior year, we made it. We were like the number one seed in the West. We made the NCAA tournament. I was playing on a broken foot. Um, and I was like the West region, like sixth man of the year. So I was playing through it. And then once season was over, I was like in crutches and a boot, all that stuff.
Hmm.
And I just couldn't sit still. My brother was in high school at the time. A few of my friends were like making that leap to go overseas. And then I met like a few high school kids, that really love the game. And it just started out as like a thing, like I was just helping them, like teaching them how to play basketball and score and just like, mentality and things like that. And then it just grew. And then every summer I would turn down offers when I played overseas to come back home and then
Hmm.
just throw camps for the kids, help them send their film to these colleges,
Hmm.
try to get them connected with colleges and just give kids because we're kind of outside of LA, about 45 minutes. So a lot of kids really go under the radar.
Hmm.
There's a lot of talent in Santa Clarita. Um, so yeah, that's the how, the when, and then the future of it. So once I stopped playing professionally during the pandemic, I came home and I was having a baby. I was
Congratulations.
like, thank you. And I was like, the world's on pause,
Yeah.
right? But there's a lot of kids who still want to get better. So we were like sneaking to parks and doing everything we could. One kid I have, Andrew Meadow,
Okay.
his team's like top 15 in the nation right now. He signed to Boise State. He was with me like every day. So he's calling my phone, blowing me up constantly. And that's kind of, what carved out his career and his path. So once I just got more engraved in it, and just saw all the kids that I was helping and able to help, it just made it harder to go back overseas.
Mhm.
So right now, like I have a youth league. I have, our youth league has like over 200 kids. I have a travel ball program with about 10 teams, 10, 12 teams now with the girls. And then we have like camps year round. So, and then I train 7 days a week and I'm just like always, trying to put the right people in the right positions just to, help these kids.
Awesome, man. That's empowering. So let's just talk about Andrew. Like how um share a little bit more of a story on him. Like, how was he when he first came to you to
Mhm.
where he's at now? Like
So I
even
met,
like sorry not to cut you off, like even from
no,
um like as a person, even a person and a player.
okay. Yeah. Yeah. So like, I think everyone sees the player, they see the goggles, they see this like stoic, just animal on the court.
Mhm.
But it's the person that makes the player. You've played and coached, and you've seen it at a high level. You know how it is, and I think for him that's the most important thing. Like, he doesn't try to act like anything he isn't.
Mm.
He doesn't try to. You'll never see him flex on anybody or tell them they're too small or anything.
Yeah.
He's just like every single play gonna go at you. And then once the game's over, he's like the nicest kid in the world.
Oh,
He's never gonna talk smack, but you throw him, like, he's been undercut a few times this year, or like landed on his head where, like, the crowd like goes silent. And I'm like, oh man, they shouldn't have done that, because then he'll just go off for like 20 points and a half.
awesome.
But yeah, like, I met him when he was 10, and he was playing on my travel team, and he was always just like a super smart kid, man. Like, so freaking smart. Like, I remember he got up the court in 2 dribbles, and you don't see a 10-year-old do that. And
Yeah.
he just like threw the ball out, caught it, was like just, throwing it ahead. And I
Mhm.
was like, who taught you that? And he was like, or my partner asked him at the time, who taught you that? And he said, Chris Paul.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, you went to a Chris Paul camp? He's like, no, I was watching his game the other night, and I saw him throwing the ball out, and it just made it seem so much easier to score.
Yeah.
It's like, what the,
Yeah.
like, no,
At 10 years old.
yeah, 10-year-old says that.
Yeah.
And then, you fast forward a few years, like during the pandemic, I sent him to Israel.
Mhm.
Got him connected with the Israeli national team. And so he goes there, he doesn't know anyone, he doesn't know Hebrew, and they speak nothing but Hebrew.
Mm.
And so they're like learning the plays. He's on the 16U at the time, learning the plays in Hebrew.
Mhm.
And within the first day, like, he had learned all the plays. 2 days later, on Friday, they scrimmaged the 18U,
Mhm.
and ended up almost beating them and coming back because Andrew just went crazy in the second half.
Yeah.
But they were so impressed with how he learned every position for every play, and he doesn't speak a lick of it.
Wow.
You So that shows you like where the kid is mentally. And even now, like, if you watch my Instagram stories,
Mhm.
he's there every single day. He's in there after games, before games.
Yeah.
It's to a point where, like, before I could call his mom and be like, hey, make sure he stays home today. Don't give him a ride to any workout. Don't let him leave the house. Like, make him rest. And now, like, he drives and stuff, so it's a lot harder. So he'll come to workouts, and I'll be like, all right, bro, you're gonna be over here, doing stretching or
Yeah.
yoga or
That's dope. No, that's super inspiring. So just listening to that, it makes you think like he's definitely gonna take something after basketball into the real world. So that just brings me to my next question as far as like your program. What life lessons do you teach your students or players?
Yeah, I think for me, just because I've been through so much adversity, and overcoming that adversity has shaped me into the person I am now.
Mhm.
You know, and the lessons that I learned, even the skills that I learned, help me now. As a businessman, as a father, as a husband. For me, that's like so much more important than basketball.
Mhm.
Like, I joke with kids all the time. I'm like, man, I can't teach you math, but I could teach you how to score 30. You
Yeah.
know, like, blindfolded, but
Mhm.
more than that, like, before that comes, I feel like kids need the discipline, they need the work ethic, and they just need the awareness and understanding of just like what's going on around them.
Mhm.
I feel, because of all the Instagram highlights and the reels and things like that, kids are so consumed with, just the wrong things. And then it's like, once you don't go D1 and you have to go JUCO, or once basketball's over and you have no options, like, a lot of these kids really struggle.
Yeah.
And I definitely saw it overseas, like with a lot of my friends, who were great players, but then their career ended. And it's like,
Yo.
you know, play basketball their whole life. They don't know anything else. So
You just
yeah,
because I
go ahead.
that's a so relatable topic because myself I played NAIA, but I have a lot
Mhm.
of brothers that play ball as well, but all we know is basketball at the end of the day. So it is a situation that we go through afterwards. So I'm actually developing a podcast about that to help players
Yeah,
find a way after basketball. So or
yeah, because that's huge, man. Like, people don't understand. It's like, okay, like, maybe you're the high school superstar in your city, or you have a little Instagram following, but it's like, dude, you break your ankle, like,
yeah.
nobody's gonna care about you anymore. Like, so you acting all high and mighty, it is just making you look like a bad person, when you could do the opposite and act humble. Obviously in your head, you're like, yeah, I'm the best. Like, this dude can't guard me. You say crazy things, you say a little profanity, whatever, but you got to think, like, there's even Drew, like, just the impact that he's made around our city, is awesome to see. Like, kids idolize him.
Yeah.
They want to be just like him. And then, they see how he acts and they're like, oh man, I don't have to act like a selfish little brat, to be great.
Yeah.
That's the coolest part about it.
Yeah. That's awesome. Okay. Well, honestly, just concluding statements. What advice, any concluding advice you could give to players who, want to elevate their game and reach the next level?
Yeah. Don't let anyone outwork you. I think that's the first thing. You gotta have the game to make it to these levels. And then, like with the transfer portal, with, just so many other things, politics plays a part. Like,
Mhm.
it's not fair. It's not going to be easy. So as long as you can just stay focused and continue to work and not let anything bump you off your path, and be your biggest advocate and shake everybody's hand, and, just carry yourself like you want to be a professional, you have to carry yourself like a professional years before.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I just think for the kids, that's like the biggest thing, is just that understanding. Like, yeah, it's cool to joke around and giggle and, be funny with your friends, but like when it's time to work, it's time to work. When adults are around, like, there might be somebody in the room who could change your life,
Mhm.
and you won't even know, and he's just sitting there watching you, seeing how you act.
Awesome. Well said. And then last closing statement is a little shameless plug. How important was it for you to have film?
Dude, film's everything. Like, even overseas, like, a few of the contracts that I got was based off, like, the first time I played in Indonesia, I got this big offer to Indonesia. I'd never been to Indonesia. I honestly never really even thought of it, or I don't even know if I heard of it.
Yeah, yeah.
And and the guy said, it wasn't even the manager. It was like the friend of the manager said he saw my highlights from Thailand Super League,
Hmm.
and saw how I was killing like some of these ex-NBA players. And he was just on his buddy's head, like, yo, you got to sign him. You got to sign him. And then that's what got me to Indonesia. And then, I ended up winning the championship my first year in this cup.
Mhm.
And then, that opened up like 10 more doors.
Awesome.
So film's everything, because you got to think about it. Like, if you're trying to play somewhere, right? Like, let's say I'm in California. How is coaches in Idaho, Florida, New York, how are they going to see me? The only thing that they're going to see is that film, if it's on you, you know?
Awesome. Cool. Well, I appreciate that. Definitely appreciate your time. We'll definitely love to speak more on like areas of collaboration. Not in this call at least, but if there's any, any film or coverage you need for your camps, Hoop Brothers, pretty much we're everywhere, so we have a huge network of guys. Partners are able to expand their camps and all that good stuff. So we'd love to stay in touch. And again, appreciate your time, Coach Taylor.
Definitely. I appreciate you.
Cool, man. Well, we'll be in touch, and I will see you again soon, hopefully.
Sounds good, man. Take care.
You too.